Good morning. Sounds good. My name is Sam Baumgarten. I am your lay worship leader for today's service. I warmly welcome you to First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church in Bridgewater. I've been a member here for 36 years. Wow. I currently do not serve on any committees, but as you know, I'm very active in town with the Bridgewater Communities for Civil Rights. And many of our members here are also part of that group, so that takes a good bit of my volunteer hours. I have been on the parish committee years back. What I love about First Parish, or one of the things I love about First Parish, is just what I'm doing today. I love the opportunity to participate, to be a leader every now and then, and the fact that we sort of run our own show here and not depend on outside governance. Before we begin our worship service, I have I would actually say more than several announcements today. First, there is a new sign-up sheet next to the coffee pot in the upper parish hall. Please sign the form to volunteer for coffee hour. Next, for many years it has been a tradition at First Parish to decorate our altar in front of the sanctuary with poinsettias for the candlelight service on December 23rd. We would love for people to bring a poinsettia of any color to First Parish to decorate the front of the sanctuary. Please bring your poinsettia to church with you on the 23rd, and you could then take it back home after the candlelight service. And remember that the candlelight service is at 7:30 on Friday night, 7:30. If you still need some gifts, in the upper parish hall after the service, through the Social Justice Committee, there will be gifts from Equal Exchange, or items from Equal Exchange, which you can get for gifts. They have various chocolates, olive oil from small farmers in Palestine, and cloth reusable gift bags. Debbie will be monitoring that, so if you need something, please look for Debbie. Warm hats, gloves, mittens, scarves, hand warmers, and energy bars are needed by the homeless in Boston. There is a donation box located in the vestibule between the sanctuary and the upper parish hall. We thank you ahead for your donations to that. And let's see, a couple of dance announcements. We are dancing a little later today, which is great. January 8th, Sunday afternoon, we will have the carrying out, I guess you could say, of the auction item, which was an hour and a half of sacred circle dancing. People who bought the auction item paid $10 each, a donation to First Parish, and that dance is open to anyone who wishes to join us and also make a $10 donation. So that will be Sunday afternoon, January 8th, at 1 o'clock in the upper parish hall, weather permitting, of course, and the following Sunday if we happen to be snowed out for any reason. And also, for myself, my community dance group will be starting its winter-spring sessions on January 6th. So I have postcards for that and flyers for January 8th if you want more information. And I believe Stefan would like to make his own announcement for the worship committee, and he's on his way.
Hi, I have just a couple of quick announcements on behalf of the worship committee. The first of them is, as many of you probably already know, our community minister, Rachel Tedesco, is stepping back from her duties as chairperson of the worship committee after many years of faithful service. Take a bow, Rachel. Thank you. And I will be humbly trying to take up some of her duties, not exactly as the chairperson, but the convener, and I'll be keeping the minutes and, more importantly, drafting the agenda. So if any of you have issues about any of our worship services that you wish to be considered by the committee, please let me know. I'll be the point person for those. And if, heaven forfend, you just want to tell us what a great job we're doing, I'm also open to hearing that. The other thing is, The other thing is we have our big annual pre-Christmas service coming up, December 23rd, and that's a complex service that has more than the usual number of quote-unquote moving parts, and I would need to have 4 ushers to assist with putting on that service. So, and unlike typical Sundays, I can't just show up early and collar whoever's around to step in and do it. So please let me know today, if possible, before you leave, if you're willing to help out with that relatively simple duty. Thank you.
On a related note regarding worship, thank you, Stefan. I just wanted to draw your attention to the calendar going forward. You may have seen through the weekly emails that there will not be a worship service here on December 25th, which is Christmas Day. We will be doing our worship together on December 23rd. We will be gathering on January 1st for a special New Year's blessing service, and it won't be at our usual 10:30 time. It will be at 4:30 in the afternoon, a candlelight Vespers blessing service. So hope you can join us at 4:30 on January 1st. The information's in your emails.
Any other announcements? Yes. Friday. Yeah. Thanks for picking that up. All right, we will now begin our worship service. First Parish Bridgewater is a welcoming congregation. We proudly fly the rainbow flag to symbolize our welcome to people of every description. For families with young children visiting us this morning, we welcome you to see an usher at the back of the sanctuary to receive one of our faith exploration boxes that are filled with creative activities that connect to our Unitarian Universalist principles. I can see them hard at work right now. On the first Sunday of each month, our volunteer religious educators host a family chapel service in the upper parish hall for all young people and their family members, so mark your calendars for that. If you are new to First Parish, we hope you enjoy your experience this morning. We encourage you to sign the guest book on the table at the rear of the sanctuary, making sure to include your email address to receive our newsletter. For newcomers joining us online, we post the sign-up link in the chat, and we invite all who are here in person to join us after the service for a time of fellowship in the lower parish hall, or are we in the upper parish hall? We're in the upper parish hall. Sometimes we're outside, but I don't think we'll be outside today. The service is being hosted via Zoom and recorded for Bridgewater Cable TV. The camera is turned off to protect your privacy during the sharing of joys and sorrows. In the event of an emergency or an evacuation drill, please leave the building through the main sanctuary doors to the rear, or should you need a ramp, through the School Street entrance, where a volunteer will be able to help you. You are welcome here. Thank you for joining us. Your presence, whether in person or online, makes a difference. And now we will have our prelude. Bless you. We will now have our chalice lighting. And I guess Reverend Jennifer will light the chalice, and we will recite the words that we have been using now for several weeks, which are up there. We light our chalice to mark this sacred hour as we gather in this beautiful historic sanctuary, both in the body and the spirit. We connect to the many generations that have come here to explore the divine. Let us join our hearts and find the holy in our relationship to each other. It is time to share the worship together. And we'll now have the affirmation of our covenant. Please rise as you are able for the affirmation, followed by the aspiration. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is faith.
This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
As we deepen into our time of worship together this morning, I offer the words of the Reverend Victoria Safford. What if there were a universe, a cosmos, that began in shining blackness out of nothing, out of fire, out of a single silent breath, and into it came billions and billions of stars, stars beyond imagining, and near one of them, a world, a blue-green world so beautiful that learned clergymen could not even speak about it cogently, and brilliant scientists, in trying to describe it, began to sound like poets with their physics and their mathematics, their empirical, impressionistic musing. What if there were a universe in which a world was born out of a smallish star, and into that world, at some point, flew red-winged blackbirds, and into it swam sperm whales, and into it came crocuses and wind to lift the tiniest hairs on naked arms in spring when you run out to the mailbox. And into it at some point came onions out of soil, and came Mount Everest, and also the coyote we've been seeing in the woods about a mile from here just after sunrise in these mornings when the moon is full. The very scent of him makes his brother, our dog, insane with fear and joy and ancient inbred memory. Into that world came animals and elements and plants and imagination, the mind and the mind's eye. If such a universe existed and you noticed it, what would you do? What song would come out of your mouth? What prayer, what praises, what sacred offering, what whirling dance, what religion, and what reverential gesture would you make to greet that world every single day that you were in it? Let us begin to answer that question this morning, and let us start with a song. Number 38, Morning Has Broken. It's in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Now is the time in our service for the sharing of joys and sorrows, those matters great and small that touch us, our families, and loved ones. Those of you attending online may share your joys and sorrows by typing them in the website's chat section. So if you have anything you'd like to share with us this morning, please come forward and light a candle in silence or with spoken word.
More than any other time in our service, this ritual of sharing reminds us that this is a space which holds all the complexity and ambiguity of life and living and dying. The joys of friendship, lifelong friendship, and the grief of its passing. The joy of health and healing and recovery, and the sorrow and suffering of ongoing illness. Here we come to hold the joy and the sorrow woven fine, to grow our hearts in empathy for ourselves and one another. Let us take a moment to be quiet together, feeling the expansion of our hearts, sending love inwards and outwards, knowing that we are held through it all by the love of one another. I invite you to breathe deeply to the center of your being, feeling the oxygen fill your lungs and travel cell by cell through your body, bringing you wellness and life. I invite you to return to our gathered community, to this gathering and our worship. We often follow our time of quiet reflection with a sung meditation. Today's meditation is going to be a little different. We sang our opening hymn, and now we are going to respond to Victoria Safford's question with a dance led by Sam Baumgarten.
Who's he? So the dance we're going to do this morning is called the Sun Meditation. It's actually representative of the genre of sacred circle dance, which is what we'll be doing on January 8th. It is meant to be repetitive and meditative, and it's only 8 counts. It's probably the easiest dance of the many I've taught here in the past. I'm going to invite a few folks, the young people and a few other kinds of young people, older young people, to the stage, and we'll do a little demonstration first, and then I will invite others of you to just kind of join in the aisles facing the windows. We won't take time to make a linked circle because it's not necessary, but let's have our demo people come up first. And if you could gather here in a little bit of a semicircle, sort of half facing the windows too. What a crowd. So, yeah, Tom, if you come here, and Lisa here, and come this way a little more. Come around the corner, Hadley, that way. Yeah, good. That's perfect. Okay. So, the way the dance works is I'll show you the dance first, and then you will practice it with me. It goes backwards first. Do you know which is your right foot? We take very small steps. So it looks like this. It's backwards, backwards, and then rock, rock, forward, forward, sideways. That's it. Okay, we're done. Let's go. That's the whole dance. So it's only 8 counts. If you think it up here, the pattern is backward, rock, forward, sideways. Are you ready? Okay. Backward, backward, rock, rock, forward, sideways. Again. Backward, backward, rock, rock, forward, forward. So it's meant to be tracing the rays of the sun and moving gradually around. So Alan, if you could give us a little taste of the music. So feel that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll give you a go in the next round. 6, ready, and back, back, rock, rock, forward, forward, side, backwards, and rock, step forward, sideways, backward, rock, forward. We'll do one more so we don't fall off the stage. Backward, rock, rock, forward, forward, sideways, and stop. And when you folks, you can kill the music for now, Alan. When we're dancing out in the aisle, you can join hands. And if you folks want to stay here, or you can go down again if you like to dance with the other folks, because it's a little restricting up here. Thank you for that wonderful demonstration. So please come into the aisles, face the windows. You going to stay with me? You want to stay? Yeah, sure. Come closer to me. So we can spread around. Okay. So everybody's facing the same direction, and you can follow me a little bit. We'll practice a couple of times. Okay, identify your right foot. Not that it matters a whole lot, but okay. So remember, it's backwards, rock, forward, sideways. Ready? Backwards. Back, back. Now rock, rock, go forward, forward, sideways, backwards, back, back, rock, rock, step forward, sideways. Again, back, back, rock, rock, forward, forward, sideways. Excellent. I'm going to ask, and again, you can join hands if you're comfortable doing that. And Jeannie, who's on the end here, will just the group will just meld this way, and Heather will kind of lead that line around this side. And if you want to join on the end there, you can. So Alan, if you could start at the very beginning. The beginning is very slow, and I'm going to count 16. You'll hear it. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready to go backwards. by the way, the music is played by Barry and Patty Simon, our good friends. Thank you, young people. Go ahead.
That was fun. Thank you, Sam. Tracing the rays of the sun with our feet in the sunshine. Thanks to our demonstrators. Not something I would sign up for. 2 left feet. I found my right mostly this time. Now is the time in our service for our sacrament of generosity, when we give of our financial resources as an act of faith, a tangible expression of our values, faith that the values we affirm and strive to live by can and will make the world more just and free for all members of the human family. This month, our plate collection is being shared with, I thought I had it in here. It's being shared with South Shore Foster Closet of Duxbury, which provides essential items, including clothing, diapers, shoes, and food to families in need in the South Shore area. The morning's offering will now be given and gratefully received. The sun, it rises, a song of the sun. And now we are going to see and hear a brief story of the sun, the story of the sun's birth, as told by National Geographic, and we are going to see that up on the screen by video. Thank you, Alan.
While billions of stars are scattered throughout the universe, the one at the center of our solar system plays a special role for us here on Earth. Our sun formed about 4.5 billion years ago in the Milky Way galaxy's Orion Spur. It was born when a cloud of dust and gas, known as a solar nebula, collapsed. And in the middle of this formation, matter condensed into a burning ball of gas that became our sun. The sun's fiery nature, along with a tremendous gravitational pull and an extensive magnetic field, helped it to become the heart of our solar system. The sun can be divided into 6 layers or regions: the corona, the chromosphere, the photosphere, the convective and radiative zones, and the core. In terms of atom count, the sun is about 91% hydrogen, the sun's fuel, 8.9% helium, and 0.1% heavier elements, such as carbon and nitrogen. Due to the sun's extreme temperatures, these elements stay in a gas-like phase called plasma. In the core, temperatures reaching at least 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, combined with the sun's powerful gravity, fuse together hydrogen molecules to create helium. Called thermonuclear fusion, this releases an enormous amount of energy in the form of radiation, electricity, solar wind, and, as we experience on Earth, life-giving heat and light. Such volatility is contained thanks to the sun's tremendous gravity. It's strong enough to hold the solar system intact and is primarily due to the sun's size and mass. Our sun is the largest and most massive object in the solar system. It's more than 100 Earths wide and could theoretically fit all 8 planets.
We could go on and on. There are many, many wonders of the sun. That was just a little taste. And now we're going to hear another song about the sun. Thank you, Tony.
Like a long, lonely stream, I keep running towards a dream. Moving on, moving on. Like a branch on a tree, I keep reaching to be free. Moving on, moving on. 'Cause there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone, where my poor restless heart's gotta run. There's a place in the sun, and before my life is done, gotta find me a place in the sun. Like an old dusty road, I get weary from the load. Moving on, moving on. Like this time-troubled earth, I've been rolling since my birth. Moving on, moving on. And there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone, where my poor restless heart's gotta run. And there's a place in the sun, and before my life is done, gotta find me a place in the sun. You know when times are bad and you're feeling sad, I want you to always remember that there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone, where my poor restless heart's gotta run. And there's a place in the sun, and before my life is done, I gotta find me a place in the sun.
Wow. I need a minute. You need a minute? No. It was a good song. Thank you, Tony. Singing about the sun in wintertime. Wintertime is a season of stories about light. At the heart of Christmas is, of course, the story of the birth of Jesus. And within that story, we know many subplots. Mary's visit to her cousin Elizabeth, who, like Mary, found herself miraculously with child. The angel's glowing appearance before the shepherds in their field, announcing the birth of Jesus, the newborn king. The gifts of the Magi who made their way to the infant Christ by the light of a divinely appointed eastern star. Hanukkah, too, has a story at its center and a miracle. The story of the Maccabees, who led a revolt of peasant farmers against their Syrian oppressors. Despite the odds, the ragtag Jewish army prevailed against the much larger and better equipped Syrian army. Triumphantly, they reclaimed the temple in Jerusalem. As the story goes, when they rekindled the temple menorah, they had only enough oil to last one day, but that small amount of oil burned miraculously for 8 full days. And Jewish people across the globe will celebrate Hanukkah beginning tonight by lighting candles in honor of those 8 days of light. For 2 millennia, we've been revisiting these ancient stories of light, stories of miracles and magic. It would seem our winter spirits long to experience wonder and awe. Over the centuries, we've augmented the magic of Christmas with new miracles and new kinds of magic. An immortal and jolly saint who grants children's wishes and commands a fleet of flying reindeer. The winter holidays invite us to practice a certain kind of wonder, belief in the unbelievable, faith in the impossible. In the bleakest of times, we need a little magic to keep us going through the hard night. Or do we? We are, after all, Unitarian Universalists, the ones who don't have to believe in what would seem unbelievable, impossible, irrational, the ones who prize reason and conscience over magic and miracles. That's all well and good. I'm a card-carrying Unitarian Universalist, and ordained one at that. But if we leave behind magic and miracles, what are we left with to get us through the hardest of nights, the coldest of winters? Reason? Conscience? Don't our spirits need wonder and awe too? Despite our skeptical tendencies, most UUs are reluctant to let go of the winter holidays. We deck the halls and kindle the lights. We participate in the trappings of the season. But many of us stop short when it comes to belief and faith. We stop short when it comes to wonder and awe. If not in miracles and magic, how do we, Unitarian Universalists, experience awe? What wonder nourishes our hearts and souls? Wednesday, December 21st, is the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, the longest night. The winter solstice is the cusp between growing darkness and returning light. For the past 6 months, as we make our annual trek around the sun, the tilt of the Earth on its axis has resulted in less direct sunlight for those of us who occupy northern latitudes. We're about to hit the point where we are most obscured from the sun. Beyond that point, as we make our way around the other side of the sun, we northerners will be better positioned to receive the sun's warmth and light. The days will grow longer, the nights will shorten, spring will come, bees will buzz, flowers will bloom, we'll shed our hats and our boots and walk barefoot in the sand once more. The winter solstice invites us to turn our attention to the sun that is always there, in clear sky and cloudy, winter and summer, day and night. The sun which holds us by the pull of its enormous gravity in constant orbit. The sun that feeds us a steady diet of heat and light, producing the energy we and all living beings need to thrive. The sun that gives us the familiar rhythms of our lives, day and night, the changing season, the passing of months and years, the very measure of our own lives. The sun, it turns out, is not the center of the universe as we once thought. Rather, it's a not so out of the ordinary, medium-sized star, just one of roughly 200 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, which is but one of billions of galaxies in the universe. At about 4.5 billion years old, the sun is nearly halfway through its projected lifespan. So middle-aged, an average star. But to us, it's everything. More than anything else in existence, the sun is what orients us within our universe. Without its gravitational pull, the Earth would be adrift in open space, a rock, a lifeless rock. The sun holds us in our designated place within its orbit, the third planet out after Venus and before Mars. From this stable place in the solar system, scientists have been able to observe the universe, to measure it and theorize about it. With each passing year, our understanding of the universe grows, as well as our own infinitesimally tiny and yet extraordinary place within it. The story of the sun is to me a wondrous story, an awesome story, not because it is impossible, but precisely because it is possible. The sun was born according to the laws of physics, no divine intervention required. And those same natural laws and properties brought the sun into relationship with the earth, producing the chemical interactions that have given rise to the staggering diversity and beauty of life on our planet, including us. For me, there is enough wonder and awe in the cosmic story of the universe to nourish my spirit for a lifetime. I'm not alone. It's the idea behind the emerging field of religious naturalism, a growing community of interdisciplinary scholars, religious professionals, and lay people. Religious naturalism promotes the belief that the findings of science and our own experiences of the natural world produce a cosmic story and a spiritual sensibility that meet our deepest religious needs. For religious naturalists, religion does not transcend nature. There is no need for a supernatural creator or creators. Instead, religious understanding is located within the universe, the natural world. For religious naturalists, nature is not set apart from religion, but is rather the object of religion. Philosopher Donald Crosby describes a religion of nature. Traditionally, in Western thought, science and religion have been set apart and at odds. Science is an academic discipline reserved for really smart people. It's devoid of feeling, rigid, and difficult by its reputation. The wondrous, awe-inspiring story of our unfolding universe has generally been relegated to that field. Magic and miracles, on the other hand, are the province of religion. Religious folks and scientists have tended to ignore or to dismiss one another. What if we didn't? What if we began to accept the cosmic story, the story of the universe, the birth of the sun, the manifestation of life on earth as a religious story, not to displace the stories of religious traditions, but to undergird them all? Replete with its own miracles and unfolding magic, the magic of nature rather than the magic beyond nature, the miracles produced by the laws of nature rather than the divinity of a supernatural power. Part of my ministry is to explore the religion of nature. To do so, we need to throw open the locked door of science and come down from the ivory tower of academia, which I was never cut out for. We need to lend poetry and emotion to the telling of the cosmic story. We need to testify in our own words to our own experiences of awe and wonder in the face of nature's abundant miracles. Unitarian Universalism is fertile ground for the religious naturalist movement. 200 years ago, our spiritual ancestors began to move away from the supernatural. But we've been hungry ever since for spiritual sustenance. We're ready, I believe, for Unitarian Universalists to celebrate the mystical, magical miracles that awaken us to the grace of our existence. We've already gotten started. Recall from our opening words what UU Minister Victoria Safford said. What if there were a universe in which a world was born out of a smallish star, and into that world flew red-winged blackbirds, and into it swam sperm whales, and into it came crocuses? If such a universe existed and you noticed it, what would you do? What song would come out of your mouth? What prayer? What praises? What sacred offering? The sacred texts of religious naturalism, the scripture of religious naturalism, is all around us. We can read them by our own observations of the blue sky and clouds, sunsets, forests, your backyard garden, your loved ones' faces, not to mention the poets. Who better than Walt Whitman? I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the pismire is equally perfect, and a grain of sand, and the egg of the wren, and the tree toad is a chef d'oeuvre for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the parlors of heaven, and the narrowest hinge in my hand puts to scorn all machinery, and the cow, crunching with depressed head, surpasses any statue, and a mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. Perhaps the most compelling reason to adopt a religious naturalist view is because we mortal, flawed human beings can locate ourselves squarely in the story. The earth and sun were born out of a gaseous cloud of stardust, and thus, so were we. We were born out of the gravitational relationship of the earth and sun. our parents, born out of the sun's prodigious energy, nourished on a steady diet, not of milk, but of light and heat, held in a vast network of interdependent molecular relationships that originated 4.5 billion years ago. And it's still going, and we get to be here. If that still doesn't do it for you, I have another story, one that can be told in more human terms, because it's hard to connect to a story without a character at the center, one we can relate to. So I'll offer you one of mine. It's one I've shared before. It was a warm and sunny day in Chicago. The year was 2017. I was a confused and anxious seminarian in Chicago for summer classes. The Earth had been rotating around the sun for some 4.5 billion years, and I had gone along for the ride 43.5 times. And I was feeling done, suddenly disenchanted with everything and everyone, most of all myself. All these years, and still an imposter, still struggling to belong, weary from the load. Before anyone could observe the tears pooling in my eyes, I fled the high-rise building of my seminary and made my way, without thinking about what I was doing or where I was going, to the edge of Lake Michigan. Calmed by the sound of the gently lapping waves and the sight of the light shimmering on the water's surface, my breath slowed and regulated, began to match the rhythm of water meeting shoreline. A breeze moved across my skin, caressed it, lifting those tiny hairs. And again, the sun warmed my bare shoulders, and I was home. I had found my place in the sun for that moment. The sun and the earth give me a familiar home in the vast and awesome universe. I am part of the great unfolding cosmic story, born of stardust and sunlight, a living, breathing, laughing, crying, thinking, feeling, confused, enlightened wonder of the sun. And so are you. Amen. Let's sing number 1064, appropriately, I think, Blue Boat Home.
Away from the road.
so sorry. In benediction, these words come from the Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons. There is finally only one thing required of us, that is to take life whole, the sunlight and the shadows together, to live the life that is given us with courage and humor and truth. We have such a little moment out of the vastness of time for all our wondering and loving. Therefore, let there be no half-heartedness. Rather, let the soul be ardent in its pain, in its yearning, in its praise. Then shall peace enfold our days, and glory shall not fade from our lives. Let's sing Amen. I'm wondering if any of our young worship participants today would like to come forward and help extinguish the chalice.
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
altars as our time of fellowship begins.